What's up, everyone? It's Ruby here, bringing you guys another video. So, Squid Game. Everyone is talking about it. And I've talked about it previously when I did the video about debating about whether or not it should really get a season 2. I mean, obviously I want a season 2, and it's probably going to get one. But I was mostly just talking about like the practicalities of a season 2. But I want to talk about the actual show. Not what's coming in the future or not or any of that stuff. I want to talk about the actual show. Because I have some thoughts. And I want to talk about it. So, this is your chance to get out of here now. I'm going to give a spoiler alert. Because I will be talking about all about the show. So you have about 2 seconds to leave before you might get spoiled. Because I'm not holding back at all. Alright, I'm just going to assume that you've left by now. So, Squid Game. The game, the show, the game. Everyone is talking about. Everyone and the mom. Everyone's playing the Roblox versions. There's even stuff happening in the GTA world, the GTA RP world. And probably like 50% of the population is going to end up dressing as one of those like pink guards or one of the players as for Halloween. And so it's the talk around town. Everyone is talking about it. But what do I think of the show? What do I think? Well, I think that it's getting to a point where it's being talked about so much that I'm kind of getting sick of it. I love the show, don't get me wrong. But it's kind of like one of those things where, like, if too many people are talking about it and too many people, like, it's like you can't go anywhere. It's kind of the same thing that happened with Among Us to me, is where it kind of got oversaturated, and even though it's a good show, you're like, okay, we get it. Let's move on now. I don't know if it's just me, but that's how that's the way that I think whenever people talk about Squid Game now. It's like, I get it's popular and I get everyone loves it, but please, can we talk about something else? But in terms of the show is really good. There's a lot of points in it that is very unique. And yet also maybe not unique at the same time. A lot of people are comparing it to other things. Like Alice in Borderland. Like Hunger Games, Battle Royale. Fall Guys, that sort of thing. And I kind of get the ideas of it now. I haven't seen Alice in Borderland. I plan to, but I just haven't watched it yet. But I think that even if it's not original, it still executes it in an original manner. The colors, the characters, the whole concept behind it is pretty different, even compared to others of the same genre. Like, people talk about Saw, and even then it still differs from what Saw was. So I think that even if it might not be the most original show, its execution, the way that it's filmed, the way that it was produced in that manner, it is original. And I think that it definitely deserves the credit where it's due. I definitely think that it deserves to get some awards for the hard work that was put into it. Whether it will actually get awards or not, who knows. But I think it'll be interesting to see where this whole show goes. I know the cast itself is very loved and admired, and they've been on several things. That Jimmy Fallon had them on. They've done like some like BuzzFeed things or whatever, and like the various interviews, and they seem to be very liked and very popular. I know that Hoiman, the actress behind Sebyok, is really popular right now. And I just want to take this opportunity to correct some people on how they're pronouncing some of the character names. Because you guys are pronouncing that you do know that you're pronouncing their names incorrectly, right? Okay, so here it is. Okay, so there's Sebiok. That is 067. That is the girl that a lot of people like, and she's from North Korea. And then there is Song-woo. Not Song-woo, not Sang-woo, Song-woo. You don't pronounce the W. That is the villain, the smart guy, the guy with the glasses, the guy who ends up at the end. In the final 2 rounds, Song-woo. Not Song-woo, Song-woo. Because you don't pronounce the W. Okay? So ignore the W's there, and it's just Song-woo. And then there's the main character, Ki-hyun. Not Gi-hyun. Not Gi-hyun. Not Gi-hyun. Ki-hyun. Okay? And then what is Il-nam? Pretty simple, pretty easy. Trying to think if there's any others that are really... I just know that's the Song-woo one. The Song-woo is constantly gets butchered. Oh my god. It's so funny. It's not even funny though, actually. It's just bad. I get it, a lot of people don't speak Korean or know how to pronounce Korean names, but every time people say it, it's something else. So again, it's the main character, the protagonist, is Song Ki-hyun. The girl, the North Korean girl, right? The main girl is Sebiok. The glasses guy, or the smart guy, or the villain, the guy everybody hates, he is Cho Song-woo. That is his name. Song-woo. Not Song-woo. Song-woo. The Pakistani guy, pretty simple. He's just Ali. Then the crazy girl, the cigarettes lady, the girl that everyone finds annoying. Her name is Han Minyo. It's almost like menu, but not quite. Han Minyo. And then the guy that everyone kind of is like the tough guy. He is Chung Dok-soo. Il-nam, pretty simple. And then the cop's name, Hwang Junho. That is how you pronounce the names. Okay? So again, let's go one more time. The main character is Song Ki-hyun. The glasses guy is Song-woo. Cho Song-woo. The North Korean girl is Sebyok. The crazy lady is Han Min-yo. The tough guy is Chung Dok-soo. The old man is Il-nam. And the cop is Hwang Junho. Okay. So now that that's out of the way, we're going to really get into it. So, Squid Game. There's a lot to unpack. Especially episode 6. I want to talk about episode 6, man. Episode 6 is what did it for me. I cried so much. It was mostly the two girls. Yeah. That tore me apart. Because it was just so well done with Ji-young. It's just that one broke me. I didn't even really care about this Ali and Songwoo. The one that broke me was the Ji-young stuff with Sebyok. It was so... That, like... Oh, especially with the piano ballad right in the background. Tore me apart. Same with Ki-hyun and Il-nam. That also did it. But the big one was definitely Ji-young and Sebyok. Songwoo... Yeah, I kind of hated him for it, but I also didn't as well. Like, I got chills when like Ali just like opens the bag and he sees like the pebbles in it. But it didn't really like bother me because all is fair in a game of survival. And that's what this was. This was a game of survival. And even though what Songwoo did is fucked up, it's also understandable because what Songwoo just wants to survive. Okay? That is his goal. That is what he wants to do. He just wants to survive. And he is going to do anything it takes to do that. As would anyone else. Now, would people just, like, trick their best friend or whatever? No. But that's the thing, right? Ali is never, and never was, Songwoo's best friend. The only friend that Songwoo has is Ki-hyun. That is the only one. He is the only one that he knew. Songwoo didn't know Ali. Even though Ali saw him as like a brother or whatever, at the end of the day, Songwoo did not know who Ali was. And I think that is important to remember. Because even though you might think that Songwoo is fucked up for doing that to Ali, they were never friends. They were never friends. And Songwoo makes that very clear. From the start, I think. And they aren't friends. And he's not here to make friends. He is here to win and survive. And that is the only thing he wants to do. He does not care if he hurts anyone in the way. He wants the money. He wants to win. And that is the only thing that is driving him. And I think that because we see him directly deceiving Ali, and a lot of people just loved Ali, people hate Songwoo for doing what he did. And I get that, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of people would have done the exact same thing that Songwoo did. Why? Because they want to survive. Because they want to move on. Because they want to get out of here. And they feel like that is the only way to do it. Because even though you could play a game fairly, it's not about fairness, it's about survival. It's about doing the things that you need to do in order to survive. And I think because of that, I'm willing to say that what Songwoo did is fine in context. Because again, Songwoo doesn't know Ali. He is not his friend. Ali just perceived Songwoo as a friend. And at the same time, It's basically that Ali basically lived a parasocial relationship with Sangwoo. Sangwoo didn't know him, and he never cared to know him. But Ali saw Sangwoo as a friend, even though he only knew him within the context of the games. And I think that was one of Ali's biggest mistakes. Because in a game of survival, Sebyuk is correct. You cannot trust anyone. Because there are people that are willing to do anything it takes to survive. As would most people. And when survival is on the line, people have no morals. And that's actually what Ilnam was thinking. That when it comes to survival, no one is going to put their morals first. Now, Ilnam is wrong, but at the same time, it is true that a lot of people would not care and would just go for the money. Because in desperate times, people will do desperate things to survive. If you don't believe me, just look at this past couple of years. With the whole pandemic. When people thought they were going to die, what did they do? They ran and got all the toilet paper. And they instinctively ran for survival. They did anything they could to survive. No matter what it was. Now, obviously, it's not the same thing. We weren't necessarily dying or playing a game to the death. But in a way, it is true that people will do anything to survive. Because that is what they know, and that is what they know best. It's not enough to just say, oh, this is the right thing, or oh, this is the wrong thing to do. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to survival, all morals go out the window. When it comes to survival, people will do anything. And I honestly don't blame Sangwoo for what he did. I just think that when you're in the context of a game, especially one that results in the loser dying, and if you want to survive, you can't trust people. You can't just trust these random strangers who you've only known within the context of the game. Now, I can understand why Ki-hyun would trust Sangwoo. Because they were best friends growing up. Actually, we don't actually know if they were best friends. They were just, childhood friends. I would say even then, it's clearly been a long time. And even though they know each other, they still don't have the same relationship they did as a child. And that is evident. And I think that people make the mistake of villainizing Sangwoo. And I don't think he is an actual villain. I think his main goal is literally just to survive. And because of that, I don't blame the things that he chooses to do. I think the most messed up person is actually the protagonist. He literally at the beginning of the show automatically goes and steals his dying mom, well, not dying, but his ill mom's money. All to gamble it away. And even though he could have easily just bought a present for his daughter, he doesn't. He gambles it away. And only by sheer luck has the money, and then gets confronted by the people that he owes money to. And he wonders why he's in his situation. Now, clearly gambling is an addiction, and I get that. And I get that every single one of them were in bad spots. But to me, Ki-hyun isn't a good protagonist. He's a great protagonist. but he's not good. And I don't think anyone should mistake Ki-hyun for being a hero or a good person, because he's not. None of them are. You could argue that Ali is. You could argue that Subyok is. But in terms of Song-woo and Ki-hyun, neither of them are good people. Because it's not so simple to just call them either good or bad. Because they are just people who did shitty things, who ended up in shitty situations. I mean, people talk about Song-woo and how he committed crimes and he, ended up in his own situation. He kind of built himself into his own situation. And that's fair. But you also have to say the same for Ki-hyun. It's clear that he is at fault for why he is in so much debt. Because he has this addiction to gambling, he has no remorse, he has no regrets for stealing his mother's money. And even, I think there's also implication that he also did the same to the wife. Now, even if he didn't steal any money from the wife, he still hasn't been able to provide any childcare. And I get that he went through his PTSD situation, and that's fine. But at the same time, I understand the wife for wanting to move on. And we also see at the very end that, once again, Ki-hyun puts something else before his daughter. Now yes, it is a much more serious thing than gambling. But at the same time, he also had a year to do whatever he wanted, and he wasted it by doing nothing. And I think that it would be a mistake to call Ki-hyun a good protagonist, because he is not. He is not supposed to be. He is never supposed to be a role model. He does good things during the games, but then he also does bad things during the games. For example, he takes advantage of Il-nam, and he uses what he thinks is his disability in order to gain an upper hand in winning so that he can survive. It shows that he is still selfish. He is still selfish, and he still wants to win. So that he is willing to do anything. And it goes back to it. If you think about it this way. Ki-hyun starts the show gambling his mom's money away and tricking her into this situation. And he takes advantage of her illness. And then, during the game, Ki-hyun takes advantage of Il-nam's disability through the game and his want to survive. Now, granted, Il-nam was behind it, but Ki-hyun did not know that at the time. And so at the time, he believed that he was deceiving Il-nam, and he was taking advantage of Il-nam's illness. And even though he didn't know that Il-nam was faking it, he did know in his heart that what he was doing was wrong. And it is important to recognize that, because it goes back to show you that at the end of the day, Ki-hyun still is addicted to gambling, and he's still selfish. And that's okay. And it's great that he's a flawed protagonist, don't get me wrong. It's great that he's a flawed protagonist. But he's definitely not a good one either. And I think people are making the mistake of saying that he's a good person. because he's not. Even when he gives the money to Songwoo's mom, and adopts the brother of Sebyok, he still has his selfish tendencies, even to the end, where he's meeting Il-nam and sitting with him on his deathbed. In a way, yes, what Il-nam does is messed up. But also, Ki-han is still willing to gamble with someone else's life. And he is also willing to state he wants Il-nam to see that he lost. Right? And while that it makes sense as to why he would, it's still a little bit selfish. It's kind of like he wanted... I mean, from a moral standpoint, it was just and great that he wanted Il-nam to see that there was good in this world and that he was wrong. But at the same time, there is the side where Ki-han finds happiness when he wins. And when he won that gamble, he felt that urge again. And the only time where he wasn't satisfied with his win was after Songwoo died and killed himself. And then he felt bad for himself. But on the deathbed of Il-nam, right, he feels satisfaction because he won the gamble. It shows that his gambling addiction is not yet over. And I think that will tie into season 2. I think, after really giving it thought, I think that Ki-han is going to end up being the front man. Because even though what he sees behind the games is fucked up, I think through his journey of trying to shut down the Squid Games, he's probably going to realize that he actually likes it. Maybe not the death part, but the idea of it. And I feel like that what is going to happen, and might happen, is that Ki-han will become the front man, and he might change it a little, but at the end of the day, I feel like the Squid Games aren't going to end. Why? Because I think Ki-han is going to see the importance of them, and he's going to want to keep them around. I mean, these games have been going on for like 20 years or whatever, and there's a reason why they haven't been shut down yet. And I think that reason is because, as fucked up as the Squid Games are, they still hold a pivotal role in giving people who have nothing to lose the chance to win something and wager for their lives. Yes, it's fucked up, but at least it's better than nothing, right? And Il-nam's thing was just creating a game where people could have an opportunity to win money. And I think in the process of that, also be able to do something with their lives. We look at the people who are involved in the Squid Game, and we look at their lives before the Squid Game started. And it's easy for us to say, oh, I would never participate in something that fucked up. Because we, the viewers, are most likely living comfortably, especially since you're watching this on Netflix. I highly doubt that you are in so much debt that you owe like an entire mafia billions of dollars or something like that. So it's easy to say in the comfort of our own homes, in the comfort of our chair, oh yeah, I would never play a death game like that. Oh no, I would be out of there right away. But you're dealing with people that are desperate for anything, that are stuck in their ways, and want to do something with their lives. Anything with their lives. And I think there's a reason why the front man was Huang's brother. And why he had won the games and became the front man. And I'm sure Il-nam at some point had also won the games of his childhood and was like, you know what? I want to do this and I want to form this thing so that we can still have this entertainment, but also put in like a little spin to it so that, it represents something good. And that's exactly what he did until he got bored of it and wanted to actually participate in the games. And I think that even though the concept is fucked up, and people are saying, well, he's taking advantage of these people in desperate situations. Well, yes, he is. But, at the same time, it works. People obviously like this. Why hasn't anyone else said anything? Why is Ki-hyun the first one to say anything or try to do something about the Squid Games? I mean, there's like 20 other winners. What happened to them? And that answer is never... the question is never answered. But I think we can guess why. It is the same reason why the comp's brother is the front man in this show. Because even though they know how fucked up it is, deep down inside, they really actually want to do this. Because remember, every single one of the players that returned wanted to come back. And it shows that the Squid Game still has a purpose. Even if it's not a good... Even though it's not good from a moral standpoint, it still has its purpose in society. And yes, you can say, well, the people the people before didn't know that they were playing with their lives. And yes, I think that is one aspect that could change. Ki-hyun could come in and be like, let's put a disclaimer out first so that people know exactly what they're going for. And then you end up with a situation where it turns out people are still willing to risk their lives to make a change in their lives in order to get out of this desperate situations that they're in. And you'll find that a lot of people, even when they know their lives are on the line, still want to participate. And I think that's going to end up being the direction that they go in. Now, they could go in a different direction. But I think that it would actually be better, not only for the potential to have like season 3 and season 4, but also because I think it makes the most sense. I mean, you're telling me that Ki-hyun is the first one to get the idea of trying to shut the Squid Games down, even though there's been like 20 other people that have won. You're telling me that Ki-hyun out of all of them is the only one? I don't believe it. And I think that every single one of those have probably tried and ended up not committing to it for whatever reason. And I think we're going to end up learning what that reason is. Now, I'll be down to whatever they put out, because I believe that it's going to get a season 2. Now, if it doesn't get a season 2 for whatever reason, I think that people need to get off their moral high ground and look at this from a desperate situation. Not a comfortable one, but a desperate. What would you do if you had nothing to lose except for your lives and everything to gain. It's very easy to say that you would never do this when you're living comfortably in your own home. But let's say you're on the streets, $5,000 in debt, no chance of living. Your mom and your parents kicked you out on the street. You're miserable. You have no food. You have no water. You have no shelter. There's a reason why this Squid Games is so relatable. And it's because while people might not kill people for each other, for money, there's still the potential of them willing to be put into a death game like this and willing to battle for the potential to change their lives. Because there are some people that would do anything to get out of their situations that they're in. And I think that it would be a mistake to just write it off as immoral. Because yes, the idea of it is immoral. But that's not the point. The point is that it's still a necessity to society. And that might speak a lot about society. But I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter about what the morals are. It matters what people are willing to do to get some money. And I think that is what we should focus on, not the morals or if you would join the Squid Game yourself. I think you really need to look at it, one, from a desperate situation, not a comfortable one, and also just look at it from just like functional. Like, yes, people would do anything. People would do anything to change their lives when they're in certain circumstances. And I think that's important to remember. Now, anyways, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. And I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoy. And peace out, guys. It's been a blast.